moving down to number 5 here is Wolverine himself, James Howlett, Wolverine. What can I say? I doubt he made it onto your list.
He was close.
He was close. Okay, at least he was close. You could talk about the movies and everything and Hugh Jackman's portrayal. But the closest representation, Wolverine from the comics, is such a great character.
Where he's 5 foot tall.
Where he's like 5 foot tall, but he's still taking on everyone. He's virtually indestructible. He's so powerful. He's so snarky. He's like an anti-hero at times. I've always loved watching Wolverine, but my favorite thing about him is just it's the powers he has. So original. The claws out of the hands, the adamantium skeleton, which he was given. But one of the favorite things I think I ever saw was someone said nature made him a freak, man made him a weapon. But I think it was his daughter made him love again, or something cool like that. And of course, we could talk about Logan all day, but I know you don't want to.
Someday.
But I love just about everything about Wolverine, and he's the definition of someone with scars. Physically, mentally, all of it.
I like the Wolverine that was before he got so powerful that he could come back from anything. I have a comic book where he and Kitty Pryde go to Japan, and Wolverine gets cut with a katana, and it almost kills him. And that's more interesting because all of a sudden he could die. Mm-hmm. And that makes it way more interesting to watch. I think it took him like a week or 2 to heal from that wound too. So I love that he has that healing factor, but it's even better when it's not overdone.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's the Wolverine I like anyway. So, but I understand why people like him, and like I said, he almost made my list.
Yeah, but that's my number 5.
My number 5 is Rorschach from The Watchmen.
Which, by the way, they're hinting Injustice 2 guest character DLC might be Rorschach.
Oh,
and
that
if that's
cool.
the case, I'm going to freak out.
By the way, I'm talking about the comic book version, not
the movie.
Not the movie, no.
That's fair.
I have a friend who really likes the movie, by the way, but I do too. Oh.
I kind of like the movie. I kind of like it. I like parts about it, but overall, most of it.
I understand why people like it, but in the comic book, Rorschach wasn't. I think there's a scene in the movie where he hacks a guy to pieces. He didn't do that. He just he's very brutal. But he wasn't, like... That was his thing, is he was brutal. That's why he was able to take on people, is because he was brutal. It wasn't that he was necessarily a good fighter. In fact, he often got beaten up in fights.
He reminds me so much of Batman meets The Question.
Well, he was inspired by The Question, actually.
Really?
Yeah. A bit of a thing about The Watchmen, when DC bought the rights to some comics... Alan Moore wanted to take those characters and make the Watchmen, and they said no because they wanted to use them in their universe. So Alan Moore based every hero from the Watchmen off of characters in the DCU.
So I'm assuming, Night
Owl is Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Not Batman?
Nope, that was Blue Beetle.
Huh? How about that? And then I'll see. Rorschach was The Question. Was Dr. Manhattan Superman?
No.
Or Martian Manhunter or something like that?
We'll talk about that.
That'll be something else.
I'm sorry. I'm just going off of what I know. I don't want to give you guys bad information, but I know Rorschach is based from The Question, based off The Question, and Night Owl is based off of the Blue Beetle, which they even talk about that because they have a Golden Age Night Owl in the story too. So there was a Golden Age Blue Beetle. So anyway,
Rorschach.
So I like Rorschach because he's brutal, and I don't think they got his voice right in the movie. When I read the comic and I look at the panels, it's more spooky than gritty. I think his voice was more spooky, like he was, and I liked how he preferred his alter ego as the Mask, and Rorschach was who he was. Mm-hmm. He's actually a very deep person. You find out why he does what he does, and I like how his spoilers here, his sense of right and wrong is so strong that it got him killed. And he knew it was going to get him killed, but he still chose to do what he thought was right. And in the comics, he does it anyway. So it's he sends his journal to a news reporter. So I'm not sure if it was like that in the movies or not, but
yeah, you have to watch it.
Okay,
you have to watch it.
Okay, so that's why my number 5 is Rorschach.
Down to number 4. I've been kind of looking. I almost want to make a change right here, but I'm not going. I'm going to stick with my original right, and that is number 4 is Nightwing. Dick Grayson.
That would also be with my Supergirl, where Apprentice and then he becomes his own
Absolutely.
person.
And the reason I almost made a change is I almost want to put him higher on my list. I love Robin. I absolutely love Robin. And the storyline of all the Robins that have been, it's so fascinating. And, Batman gets so much credit, but Dick Grayson was like the perfect sidekick. He was so much fun to read, watch. But when he took upon the role of Nightwing, was him saying basically, Batman, I'm ready to stand up on my own 2 feet. And it was kind of against Batman's better judgment. He wasn't in full support, but he's like, I'm ready to do this. I'm done with living under your shadow, and then went to Bloodhaven. But what I love the most is that he succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
And he made a great hero in Bloodhaven. He didn't fall, he didn't lose his moral code or anything like that. No, Nightwing, Dick Grayson was like the epitome of the perfect sidekick, and then growing into his own thing. And Nightwing's just so cool. Nightwing was one of my very first heroes I've ever just loved. From the look to the fighting style to all of it, I loved.
I'm going to admit I hate the new red costume.
Well, the red costume, yeah. The best is the blue. The best is the blue. But also, I want to make an honorable mention to Damian Wayne. Damian Wayne's a brat, but he was brought up under Ra's al Ghul and Talia, not under Batman. If he was brought under Batman, who knows what changes there would have been.
Well, that's where they were taking him, was showing how Batman would raise him. But the thing I like about Damian Wayne is for a time Batman went missing, so he was presumed dead. Mm-hmm. So Dick Grayson, which again, talk about fully growing, he steps into the mantle. He takes the mantle of Batman, and Damian Wayne is Robin. So instead of having a stoic Batman and a carefree Robin, you have kind of a carefree, happy-go-lucky Batman and a very stoic Robin.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I absolutely love it so much. But basically, I'm kind of thinking, you do not want to mess with Dick Grayson or Damian Wayne. You would not want to fight either of them, because both of them would take you down so quickly. They're just so powerful. And for them just being these young kind of kids, I don't know. I'm just fascinated with it, because Dick Grayson was always someone I kind of aspired to be. Like, you'll see my number one. Ultimately, of course, that'd be my pick, but he's more like a realistic goal of someone to be like, or someone to strive to be like, or to look up to. So I've always looked up to Dick Grayson. So he almost made it higher on my list, but he's my number 4.
My number 4 is The Flash, and a.k.a. Wally West from the Justice League TV show.
Wally West, okay.
Yes, I really like it. I really like the episodes that shine on him. I like how they point out that he is the glue that holds the team together. They had like an Elseworld story where Lex kills him, and they become the Justice Lords, and they're tyrants over the world. Because you don't have good people like the Flash holding them back. I also like Orion was in this episode of the Flash, where they go to Flash's city, Coast City, and there's one bad guy, and Flash gets information out of him, and he's at a bar, and Flash is getting ready to leave, and Orion's like, "What about that guy?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, turn yourself in when you're done with that drink." And the guy's like, "Okay, you got me." It's just cool that Flash has that special relationship. He's not just there to beat up everybody that's causing problems. This guy, I think, had a psychological disorder. He was nuts.
Yeah.
And I like how Flash was not like, he wasn't like, "I'm going to beat you up for being insane." Flash said, "Hey, turn yourself in," because Flash knows his villains. He makes it very personal. The city loves Flash. They have, and you find out that he kind of plays the idiot a lot to make people feel better about themselves. And I really like that about him. Again, talking about deep characters, the way he's portrayed in the Justice League TV series is just amazing.
One of my favorite moments from the Justice League series has to do when Flash and Lex Luthor switch bodies.
Oh yes.
And Lex is, I think, in a bathroom or something, or he's in front of the mirror. It's like, might as well. It takes off the mask. I have no idea who you are.
He's in the Justice League Tower, and he is shredding the Justice League. It's like you see how powerful Flash really is, because Lex isn't holding back. Right. And the scene where Flash just Lex runs into the bathroom, and people come in, and he's getting ready to walk out, and he goes like, "Aren't you going to wash your hands?" And he's like, "No, because I'm evil," and walks out.
It's hilarious.
Also, probably my favorite moment from The Flash, and it has to do with Lex too, is the series finale of Justice League Unlimited. I don't actually. Is that no? It wasn't the series finale. It was supposed to be, and then they got 6 more episodes.
Okay.
But Lex is essentially winning. He fuses with Brainiac, and he has his armor, and he's getting ready to kill the Flash, and he says something like, "Oh, the prophecy fulfills itself," and Flash runs, and it's like, Lex is like, "Oh, he's a coward." And then you hear a sonic boom coming from behind him, and Flash hits him. And then you see the Flash, and he's running around the world, and he's just building that momentum from running around the world and just hitting him every time.
Epic.
Just starts shredding the armor. It's one of the best animated moments of all time. But so yeah, number 4 is the Flash, Wally West.
All right, number 3, Bruce Wayne, Batman himself, is number 3 on my list. How can he not? How can Batman not be on anyone's list? I know, a lot of people say he's overrated or enough already with Batman. Batman's so cool. I mean, come on. I almost put, Nightwing ahead of Batman. But ultimately, as much as I defend others before I defend Batman, I love watching him, reading him, playing as him, everything about Batman. Like the Arkham games we could talk about for hours, the comics we could talk about for such a long time, and then, of course, the movie adaptations. The Michael Keaton, the Christian Bale, and the Ben Affleck are the best Batman representations you've probably ever seen or ever will see.
Adam West is my favorite.
I'm sure that's fitting that he'd be your favorite. And I love everything about Batman, and he's always like the good guy, but he's willing to make the decisions that no one else wants to make, and he has such a high moral code about not killing. And that plays into every decision he makes, and he's always the one who is the most respected. I feel like I don't want to be pulling from Injustice 2 a lot because, there's a lot of other source material. But it's because I've been playing it recently. I'm just pulling great moments from that. And there's a part, Superman is imprisoned, and you got Wonder Woman and... So you played the first game. You should know. He's imprisoned.
Okay.
Yeah. And you've got Wonder Woman, you've got Cyborg, you've got Aquaman and Black Adam, and all these people defending him versus, Blue Beetle and Firestorm and all the people that are defending Batman. But Batman's not there. They're all arguing, and Superman's there in his prison, and Batman shows up, and everyone's just silent. They just stop. And no one says anything, no one messes with him, no one faces anything. The amount of power and respect that he has just from walking in a room. But ultimately, my favorite moment is when he quits the Justice League in the Justice League TV series. And that was basically, I'm trying to remember the concept of it, but he's talking, Justice League Doom is what it's from. And it's when he has his contingency plan of how to take out everyone in the Justice League. And he has it backed up on his computer, which Mirror Master steals by hiding in the mirror of the Batmobile. But to get into the Batcave or whatever, it's crazy. But Mirror Master steals it, and basically it gets leaked. And Lex Luthor and it's I'm trying to remember the name of the guy that does it. Savage, Vandal Savage.
Oh, okay, yeah, Savage.
Yeah. So they basically take out the whole Justice League, and Batman knows how they're doing it. He's like, I know what they're gonna do because I'm the one who wrote it. And then basically at the end, the whole movie's kind of settled. They're talking about what to do with Batman because he made this plan. He goes, if a Justice League without, a contingency plan, or basically a Justice League without a backup plan doesn't exist, then it's not one I'm going to be part of, and quits. And Superman stops him and basically says, but you had a plan for all of us, but what if you go rogue? And Batman goes, the Justice League was my backup plan. I just thought that was so cool. So that was my favorite moment I think I've ever experienced with Batman. But I'm going to quit rambling on. He's my number 3.
I like how Batman and Superman got like a buddy cop system going on. And where Superman even gives Batman a kryptonite ring.
Yeah.
So I like those moments, but yeah.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
My number 3 is the man that could totally beat Batman. Captain America.
Okay.
Okay. Got so many people mad for saying that.
No.
No, actually,
I do remember seeing one thing where basically it was Justice League versus Avengers, and Batman said one of the hardest persons would be Captain America. I don't remember exactly what reading that is from, but that was pretty cool.
I'll just say that I love Captain America as a hero. I hate how they have him as the head of Hydra right now. That's so stupid.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Money,
yeah.
Money.
I love how Chris Evans has portrayed him in the TV, the movies. He's done a phenomenal job from start, until he finishes. He'll do a great job. Also, just I loved him in the comic books. I like how he's. I just like how because he's from that era, and because he was, he wanted to be a soldier, and how he just wants to do the right thing no matter what, and how they portrayed that in the, in the movie, how he does that. He did that before he got his powers, and there's even a scene where a guy throws a dummy grenade to try to make an example and show he's a coward. He jumps on it, and they showed you that he was, he's very. How do I put this? He's very much, he's going to do the right thing no matter what the cost. He took down a government agency that was, the U.S. government spy agency. He took down S.H.I.E.L.D. because they were corrupt. He led the Avengers, and I even like that. I was watching the Avengers again after our last time we talked about it, but I noticed where Iron Man's like, okay, Cap, what do we do? Like when the aliens are coming down. And because at the time, Tony Stark and Captain America were having issues, and so at that point, everybody on the team that was either for Iron Man or for Captain America, they saw that oneness and were, and Iron Man acknowledged that Captain America was a soldier and he would be the best for a leader. So Captain America just wanted again, he's number 3 on my list of all time superheroes. So I love everything about him, except for what they're doing with him right now.
Yeah, the comics. But that'll change.
That'll change a bit. That's a good thing about comics is, eventually the writers learn their lesson. But anyway.
Well.
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually. Well, up to number 2. We're not straying very far. Do you know why?
You're Captain America?
I'm Captain America. It's my number 2. Yeah, for all the same reasons, really. I mean, of course he's high on both of our lists. Captain America was one of the first representations of hope during World War II. When we were at war with Hitler and everything. Marvel made Captain America to originally fight in World War II to fight Hitler, and that was just such a cool start. And then of course he's taken such a dramatic turn to the comic world and stuff like that. But what he represented when he first came out was America. Like, this is the power that America has, and this is what he stands for. Freedom and justice and the American way and stuff like that. So I love everything about him. I love everything that Chris just said about him. That's all the same way. Chris Evans is one of my favorite actors in the world right now. I love watching anything he's in. Basically, if he's in it, it's almost sold.
Even the Fantastic Four?
The what?
He's in the Fantastic Four.
No, he's not.
The original? Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
nope.
he's
nope.
Nope. He's the Human Torch.
Not in it. Nope. Has nothing to do with. No, I don't know what you're talking about. That was someone else. That was a lookalike. That was his twin brother.
Evil twin.
He's got a brother. That was him.
Chris Evans has an evil twin brother.
Okay, I will say fine. Fantastic Four. We all have our moments we regret. I mean, Ryan Reynolds, Green Lantern, yeah, but he revived himself with Deadpool. Like, that was his comeback, and everyone loved
the
him.
X-Men Origins Deadpool?
Yeah, that. No, so
I'm really
we all
people today.
we all have our moments, but ultimately where he's at now, he's made such a good name for himself. So Captain America number 2.
My number 2 is Batman. Batman Beyond.
I knew, yeah, Batman Beyond. Terry McGinnis.
Yep. I love how your number, we're kind of we switched, but your number 3 was Batman. So.
That was fair. No, it's fitting.
This is probably 100% nostalgic. I kind of want to go back and rewatch the series and see if it's still as good as I remember. I love how, for those of you who don't know who Terry McGinnis is, this is a futuristic story. Batman essentially has a heart attack and he has to hang up the cowl. And so things are pretty grim. There's like a gang called the Jokers. That's really cool. And so Terry McGinnis, he's just a normal guy who gets essentially recruited by Batman after he finds out that Bruce Wayne is Batman. And he dons Batman's futuristic batsuit. And
which is one of the coolest looks, I think.
Yes, it's very sleek. It's very well designed. And then Bruce Wayne is at a computer terminal giving him instructions. I really love the story, the setup. It's cool to watch Terry McGinnis kind of follow in Batman's footsteps, but then take his own path at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, in one of the Justice League Unlimited, they
Yep,
conclude the series.
Yeah.
I love how they do that, where they show that.
And Static Shock,
yep.
if I remember, was right there alongside him.
Yeah. So it's just really cool to see that a very original character. I mean, I don't. Yeah, he was originally made for the TV show. But anyway, mainly because I grew up watching the show, and that's very nostalgic for me. I love that they even got Kevin Conroy to play the old Batman, and he nails that performance. So, yep, my number 2 is Batman Beyond.
Do you want to tell them my number 1? Because you already know it.
Yep, your number 1 is Superman.
Superman, guys, best superhero ever, hands down. Superman. He is the perfect superhero, I'd have to say. I don't know. I know a lot of people give him a lot of crap recently and talk about how, nothing's fun about, a superhero scared of, just a little green rock, kryptonite, or anything like that. But everything he stands for, everything he can do, he's just so cool. Like, I mean, he's referred to as a Boy Scout, and you already made the whole thing about Shazam, but he really is. He is the leader of the Justice League. He's the only member there that can go toe-to-toe with someone like Darkseid and stand up for himself and even beat him at times. He goes up against the biggest and the baddest of all DC's villains. And, Brainiac and Darkseid are the DC Universe's biggest villains, almost without a doubt. And they're both Superman's villains. Mm-hmm. He goes up against both of them. And there's, several others. But everyone, is aware that Superman, Earth is his. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, Earth is Superman's, and he protects it and defends it. And he always stands for what's good, and he tries at least, and he always is holding back. But the moments when he decides to not hold back are just some of the coolest moments in comic book history. Especially, I know we're both thinking about the Darkseid moment of, all my life I've been holding back, afraid to hurt people. But I know you can take it. And then he just goes ham on Darkseid.
It's like living in a world full of cardboard, where everything's made out of cardboard, and that's kind of it gives you a really good insight to what Superman lives like. So.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine. And then flying, super strength, the heat vision, the breath, the super speed, all of it. Doing races with Barry Allen just for charity and stuff like that. It's just so cool. But ultimately, one of my favorite things about the New 52 is the introduction of Superman to the Justice League. If you have to ask one of the reasons why I love it so much, it's that. Because the parademons are attacking and everything, and it's kind of Batman and Hal Jordan team up. But they always talk about the Kryptonian. We need the Kryptonians' help. And sure enough, there's Superman, and both Hal Jordan and Batman fight Superman, and he whoops up on them. But of course, Batman knows that he's Clark Kent, and that stops him, and then they can talk things out. But ultimately, I've always loved Superman. I'm always gonna love Superman. Henry Cavill is my Superman. I love the movies for that reason, but I'm not just blind to only him. I
love the team up they had, their first team up in the animated series where Batman and Superman team up, and again at first they kind of their egos kind of get in the way.
The world's finest, yeah.
Yeah, they kind of beat up on each other for a few minutes. I like how Batman flips Superman, and then I think Superman does something back to Batman or something. I think he just throws him across the room or something. I mean, it's just kind of cool because Superman's the strongest being in the world, and he grabs Batman, and Batman's first reaction is just to flip him. And it's just kind of cool, and the chemistry though that they've developed and where they become friends, I really like. I mentioned they were buddy cops before, but I really like their friendship. And
basically, if you ever get the chance, Superman, Batman, Public Enemies, the animated movie. Imagine basically the concept of it is Batman, Superman take on the DC universe. It's almost what it's like, and do
you know what?
They win.
What really ruined that movie for me was when Lex kissed that government agent.
No, I don't care about those parts.
That image just burned into my head, and I'm just it was so disgusting out of nowhere.
It's okay. They make up for it in
your moments here.
Giant fight, yeah. But ultimately, I don't think there's any better representation of, you think superhero, you think Superman. I think he's donned that, cowl very well. And I think he will for a long time, being kind of the world's first superhero. So the nostalgia alone puts him up on my list, but everything else, he's my favorite superhero.
Can you guess who my number one is?
And he could beat your number one easily. Now, Green Lantern, right?
No, it's Howard the Duck.
Alright, see you guys. I'm out of here.
He's right, it was Green Lantern.
I was about to say.
Specifically Hal Jordan.
Yeah,
specifically Silver Age Hal Jordan.
Okay.
So, for some reason, the take on Hal Jordan now is that he's just some sort of cocky flyboy.
Mm-hmm.
And he was actually very much a straight arrow by the book. There are ways to do things, there are not ways to do things. And I really kind of like that aspect of him. Like, he's walking around with the most powerful weapon in the universe.
Yeah.
And he's very much like military training. This is how we do things. This is,
Mm-hmm.
But he's, and in the comics for a while, he and Green Arrow were partners, and they would team up a lot. And Green Arrow kind of brought that. Yeah, because Green Arrow would bring, because I mean, in the comic books, Green Arrow is more of the easygoing, let's have fun, and more of the people's superhero.
And that's kind of what Lantern is now. Like, especially with the New 52, that's how he was introduced. Green Lantern's got this,
Again, this is why I like the Silver Age.
This is the Silver Age.
They took what would be a boring character who, again, by the book, and they made him interesting. And that's a sign of good writing. It's like, going back to One Punch Man, they can take a premise, any writer can take a good writer can take any premise and make it interesting.
Yeah.
So, what's your excuse, professional writers?
Yeah.
I've read so many of his comic books from the Silver Age for graphic novels, and I really, really enjoyed it. There was a series where Sinestro was mentoring him at first, and I really enjoyed that series because you see how Jordan, again, started out as a sidekick. He starts out as a sidekick, and then he finds out Sinestro is corrupt, and he becomes his own superhero. So, I think ever since that moment, I've enjoyed Hal Jordan. He's my favorite. I have Green Lantern stuff all over this place, so...
Yeah.
So anyway.
That's fair. But yeah, I mean...
And to be fair, Superman could beat him. I will admit that, but...
But Superman can't beat the entire Green Lantern Corps.
No, he couldn't.
No.
Especially you have a giant planet.
Yeah. Yeah. So... That's our top 10s each. I kind of knew what he would be on his. I'm sure he knew what would be on mine. Some of them, not all of them.
I'd say there's some surprises.
There are some surprises, absolutely. But please, if you get a chance, let us know in the comments. What are your top 10 favorite, top 5? Just let us know. See if any of them line up. Anything we say you disagree with, let us know. Oh, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. And I've been trolling you guys, so you guys can troll us right now.
Yeah, troll us back for everything you said.
As always, please like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah.
And if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a share. That helps us out a lot.
Thumbs up and a share, that'd be great. But until next time,
Yeah, see
enjoy
you guys
your
next week.
weekend.